Welcome to Nitpicking Nerds, and it's Friday, so that means we're having a discussion about Commander.
We recently lowered our power level, but what lessons did we learn?
I'm your host, Joe Cherries.
I'm your host, Beezy, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds, bringing you daily Commander content. If you want to support the channel in a super fast, free way, you can just hit the subscribe button, and we appreciate you forever.
Yes, we will seriously appreciate you forever. And if you want us to appreciate you forever, you can go to patreon.com and, support the Nitpicking Nerds directly with money.
And if you want to use your own money to buy cards for yourself and support us without even doing anything extra, just click the link in the description. That's our TCG Player affiliate. Once you do that, just buy everything as normal, and we get money from TCG Player because you started with that link.
Same cards, same place, same price, but
He's so
you
proud
support
of
the nerds.
So proud of that. Dragon Shield, the best sleeves in the multiverse.
Good sleeves.
Go to that link, EU or US, same deal. You just buy the sleeves and the products you want, and we get a kickback without any extra money spent by you. So let's get into this discussion video, which I think is very interesting. So we recently lowered our power level. We mentioned it a couple times, and we've got a bunch of takeaways from it. What is different going from high power to low power? So let's start with, where were we at?
So on a scale of 1 to 10, you can look at our Nitpicking Nerds video. It has a link, and it'll show you. We were playing about a 7 to a 9 power level. Powerful decks that were going to combo off very often. If they were going to win in combat, they were going to do it Craterhoof style or something so over the top that it wasn't going to matter the amount of damage. Where we made the adjustment to was going to a 5 to a 7, where we have almost no infinite combos, very, very few. In combat is incredibly important every single game.
Yeah, we pretty much also decided to almost across the board, let's say at a 90% rate, we're cutting Soul Ring and Mana Crypt. Some of the other fast mana that is more build-around-y has stayed and hasn't been much of an issue, but we definitely cut Soul Ring and Mana Crypt from almost every deck, and I haven't missed them too much. I mean, that's not what we learned, but that's just a side note. Haven't really missed those cards.
We haven't missed them at all. The number of games that Soul Ring and Mana Crypt just absolutely ran away with and turned the game one-sided in a heartbeat was incredibly high, and those are just gone. I haven't seen, since we moved down this power level, we've taken out the Soul Ring and Mana Crypt, literally no card has done what those two cards had done before, where it just pushed a player ahead ridiculously far, which is awesome because we're still playing some fast mana. Like you said, we have Crow Mox in some of our decks. We have Ancient Tomb in some of our decks.
Ancient Tomb we've trimmed too, though. Ancient Tomb was another offender early on and just would be so annoying. And also, we've lowered the number of super high power, kind of boring to play staples. Like Psych Rift is not really anywhere to be found. If you have a pool of 15 crazy staples you could play, we're probably playing 3 to 5.
Yeah, exactly. We're minimizing, we don't have an exact number. We're not telling anyone what number of staples to play.
Right.
But when you build a deck, you're probably going to play, if you have those 15 staples, you're probably picking about 5. You're doing about 1/3 of the staples. I have a mono red deck. I probably have in all the mono red staples, 7 of them, and there's probably 20 because there's a lot of mono red single staples you can just throw in.
Yeah. So now that you know where we started and where we're at now, we can talk about, if you're thinking of lowering power level, what kind of stuff can you expect? What's going to happen? Here's all of our biggest takeaways from decreasing power level.
So first and foremost, one of the things that is a huge change is we went from combos everywhere to combat being the main win con, meaning damage, life, much, much more relevant. So things like damage over time effects such as Extort become much, much more powerful. Perforos, another one. I mean, that card was good even in our higher power, but Perforos, Impact Tremors. There's a ton of these little tiny effects where you can just deal 1-2 damage at a time that become much better because each life point is relevant in these kind of games.
Yeah, it was hard to determine what your sort of health bar was if you're playing in an any win con goes meta. You can't really tell, and it's probably not your life total because we're happy to pay it all or take a bunch of damage. It doesn't matter that much. But this time around, it's no, this is your health bar. You are X% dead. You're 50% dead when you're at 20. You need to figure something out because you are close to losing, and you're going to have to deal damage in order to actually win the game. So all these damage over time effects that just sit out, we're talking shout outs to Polluted Bonds, Perforos, all that stuff, any Extort thing, they're just going to sit there, and they're just going to, every one trigger, Cam Ball, every one trigger is okay, that sucked. But the problem is there's just so many of them that they add up and they just end up overperforming every single time because you just can't quite justify killing them, even if you know what they're going to do right away.
Yeah, exactly. You know what's coming. You know that they have to get off the board, but you can't always remove them because they might not be the most prevalent threat, especially because when you look at them like narrowly, it's like, oh, what's it going to do? 2 damage to me this turn? But it's like, it's going to do 2 damage this turn, 2 next turn, 4 the turn after, and then maybe 2 the turn after that. It's like, well, that's 10 damage if you don't answer it right now.
Yeah, so damage over time effects. Huge boost. Highly recommend in the combat metas. The next one kind of ties in. Since your life total is more important, since that's the main way you're going to win/lose, you can't really pay life as aggressively. Life total is super important in combat metas, so I would say every deck could use some life gain. It's not like you need to check the list with ramp removal card draw, but if there's a card that gains life versus not, maybe I'll try the life gain just to see if it helps me stay alive a little bit longer, because it sucks to not be able to come back when your life total is low. That's how you die.
Yeah, a couple of cards that are actually really, really interesting to bring up is Adnos kind of sucks, which is interesting because Adnos obviously is amazing.
Yeah, it's insane.
In the higher power level games where you're going to combo off and your life total is not going to end up mattering. In a combat meta, Adnos just can't get there.
Curves are higher, too. It's like pay 10 life, draw 5 is, I don't know.
Exactly. Adnos just doesn't perform well in these aggressive attacking metas. Adnos, awesome magic card. One of the best black cards in all of Commander. Honestly, it's really insane. But when you get down to these power levels, you're not putting this in your deck. Necropotence has been a liability at times. And that's awesome. That's the downside that Necropotence needs for when I, like, hey, in this game, you can't draw cards unless you pay life. And your life total is a resource. So unless you're gaining life, you're actually not going to get there because you're not going to just combo off and win when you draw 30 cards. No, you're going to draw 30, discard a bunch of them, and go, oh crap, I can't win right now. They're going to kill me with combat.
Yeah, that's very interesting that we've sort of like nerfed some of the unfun stuff by moving down.
Yeah.
So just make sure, your Fire Covenants, your Deluges, your Necropotence, they take a little bit of a hit just because you got to be able to recoup it or really be defensive and afford to lose it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. This is something that a friend said to me a long time ago because he played in lower power levels, and he said, every deck should have some life gain. And I said, why? Why should every deck have life gain? It definitely shouldn't, especially if you were in the power level we were playing at.
I still wouldn't say it's a hard, fast rule, but think about it.
Yeah, no, well, I put 1 or 2. Usually it's it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It's I'll throw, I want Trample. Okay, well, one of the best ways to give Trample is Shadow Spear. I'll just throw Shadow Spear to give Trample and Lifelink to double up on those abilities.
Yeah, try to find stuff like that. Don't just go for, just gaining life.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, you don't just find a card that says gain 10 life. That card sucks.
Yeah, resupply. Don't play resupply.
What's the Feed the Clan?
Feed the Clan. Life Goes On. That's another good one.
Yeah, we don't want any of those cards. Those cards are really bad.
Yeah, the next one, since we're in the combat metas, and we're not going to go infinite, we're trying to still make the best decks possible. So, combat's difficult. I don't want to engage in it as much as I can. So let's just skip the whole thing and make our creatures unblockable or evasive. That's got to be, in my head, one of the best ways to win now that you know that you're going to combat. It's okay, great. I don't care how many blockers you have. I don't care what you're doing. I'm going to go around it this way. Let's say a Chroma's Will is a super big one here. It's all right, kill you. That is a slam dunk now. Yeah, absolutely. And there's a ton of little things that do this. There's, like you said, there's unblockability, the creature can't be blocked. Protection from creatures. There's giving it flying. Flying gets much, much better in a meta like this. Overwhelming Stampede, if your X is 10, that's skipping combat, right? Their blocks don't matter. It's irrelevant. Yeah, exactly. And these are awesome and strong win cons because you just need to... Amber. You see that? She just freaked out. but so combat's all good and dandy, and you're going to beat in, you're going to bounce off each other, people are going to block, but any way to actually push through damage. This isn't just unblockability, it's evasion. Yeah. Any kind of evasion. Your flyers, that's trample. These are all forms of evasion, and all of them get extra pumps when combat matters way more. Yeah, Rogue's Passage is a card I'm putting in decks now as opposed to just basically leaving it out. If you can kill people with commander damage, I think Rogue's Passage is a pretty nice option. Yeah, I agree with you completely. Next, this one is becoming more and more obvious to me the more I play. Enchantments are super sticky. Mm-hmm. They are a sticky type that only basically 2 colors can reliably answer, and those colors aren't necessarily prevalent at your table depending on what game you're playing. White and green can answer enchantments really well. The other 3 colors suck. Yeah. Absolutely suck at answering enchantments. And because of that, they just stay around. Something that we would probably not have considered much before was Mirari's Wake. We're we're not going to touch that. 5 mana do nothing. It's too slow, especially with combos coming all the time.
in this meta, it feels like you can reliably untap with it at least 60% of the time, and that's a lot.
I'm still withholding judgment, but I have untapped with Mirari's Wake a lot more than I thought I would. And just in general, all these enchantments just kind of stick around. And they probably did stick around before, but they just didn't matter as much because they weren't in play for as many turns, and there wasn't, there was less relevance on like, oh, my Pollutabonds is going to drain you for 10 eventually. It's like, oh, I'm dead? Okay, it doesn't matter. But now it all matters. So these enchantments just got to go. You got to make sure you can get rid of them or have an answer. I don't think Chaos Warp existing and Feed the Swarm existing actually means that red and black can answer anything that is enchantments. Just because you have one doesn't mean A, it's even going to be drawn, or B, you can use it on an enchantment. Sometimes you're like, I have to Feed the Swarm as commander. I have to.
Yeah.
Like, well, now you're just crap. You have no enchantment rule.
Yeah, throw my Feed the Swarm at something I've just needed to answer plenty of times. And it's just like, wish I had that for the enchantment now. But I don't because I need to use it.
Yeah, they need more for me to say that they're competent at answering that.
I mean, I'm ready for black to just have some enchantment answers. That would be nice.
That would be cool. I mean, so basically, with heavy Grixis, enchantments are going to be nuts. Slam your enchantments because they're not going anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. This isn't a hard and fast rule, but 1 and 2 board rates, what we would play before. Now you can play 3 and 4, and you're going to be happier with 3 and 4 board rates because most stuff is on board in a meta like this. Before, somebody could just play a combo out of their hand and just win out of the blue. Maybe they have one piece on board, and that's it, and you're just not expecting it. But with everything being presented on board, and you can see what's happening. Sure, there's cards in their hand. They have tricks. They can do stuff. But a much higher percentage of the game is played visually on the board, meaning you can react to it more and making board wipes much better.
There's also more time to react, so you can say, wow, their board's really big. I have a counterspell in my hand. Let's see. They're not going to be able to kill me. I have a counter if they want to play some giant thing like Overrun or Chroma's Will. So let's let them commit more, and then I'll slam the board wipe and ruin their day even more. So board wipes, they've been overperforming. My Queen Marchesa deck at this point is kind of just like a mid-range politic-y control. But the deck is basically just one giant test. It's like, let's see how much I can game this system. How much can I take advantage of the fact that we're not infinite comboing? And so far, that deck has an insanely high win percentage. I don't know what it is because we don't keep track, but a lot of the power in that, I think, is once you get ahead with that deck with your enchantments sticking around, you just slam board wipes and the board's clear and you're the monarch and you're drawing cards, and it's just there's no creatures in play. If you can keep creatures off the field and you're doing non-creature things, you're going to win the game for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Board wipes they overperform way more than you expect. And this is something that I think a lot of lower powers actually fall in the trap of. Because they overperform, what'll happen is, hey, we're playing an onboard game. That people just go all right, I'll play 4, 5, 6, 7, and they keep pushing.
There is too many still.
Yeah, at least, what it ends up leading to is if every player is playing 7 board wipes in their deck, it leads to the longest stalled out games that can just get to a point of unfun because the board's been wiped 10 times in one game.
And we'll get to that later. But the next little lesson here is interacting. I don't want to say it's more important because with the certain critical threats that you're going to die to in the more competitive games, it's literally interact or lose. But you really want to prioritize cards that can interact with multiple things at a time. The board is getting clogged. There's creatures in play. You can't win out of nowhere for the most part. So you need to be able to answer more of these things that in the past with competitive games kind of would have just sat there and done very little. But they're going to get value, and you got to make sure you can sweep up as many as you can if you're not wiping the board. Like we're talking Soul Shatter, Wind Grace's Judgment, Dismantling Wave, Heliod's Intervention type stuff.
So I think in the power level we were playing, there was much less threats that needed to actively be removed. Mm-hmm. So you couldn't just you just could ignore. So say something you play now is, what's the double strike lifelink thing? True Conviction.
True Conviction.
Yeah, True Conviction is a card you play now. A card that in our older meta, where there was going to be combos, you could ignore all day. You can't ignore those kind of cards. And there's so many more all over the place. Because we've lowered the power level, more and more cards have come to up into this level of being a threat. And there's more threats prevalent, and you need to have answers ready for these threats. And having your 3-for-1s or your 2-for-1s ready so that you can both spend a card and not just go 1-for-1 every single time, but get rid of a couple threats at a time while spending as minimal mana as you can. That's going to be a lot better.
Yeah, keep the pressure off without having to wipe the board so you can stay ahead on board and just keep everyone in check for longer so that you can take over the game. much better than just kind of going wipe the board, wipe the board, wipe the board. It's like you need to get ahead. You're all on board. You need to stay ahead on board and start dominating the game. And I think True Conviction, oh man, that checks so many boxes because it's like residual life gain, doubling the power of all your creatures, sticky enchantment. It's just like everything you need. Obviously, the change from going higher power to lower power isn't all, sunshine and rainbows. And there are some negative things. I think one of the problems you'll run into that I don't even think there's really a solution for is just some games, some percentage of the games are going to kind of overstay their welcome. Where you're like, haven't we done this already? The board's been wiped 3 times. Everyone's been in first place, but nobody can quite seem to get a foothold. That will happen more. And then some percentage of that bucket of games are going to go just way too long, where you can definitively say, like, this game has gone on too long, and in some cases you'd rather not be playing anymore.
Yeah, I feel slightly different about this. There's very few games we've gotten to where I'm like, this game is too long. I think I've gotten to it once, maybe twice, where I was like, geez, this is really dragging. And that's out of we probably played at least 100 to 150 games in this meta. We've done
a lot.
Yeah, we've been playing a lot of Commander in the past month and a half. I usually don't get there, and this is a preference thing because how long a game goes, I've heard people say they love the 3-hour games. I don't want to play it. Me personally, I don't want to play the 3-hour games, but I'm okay with the hour games, the hour and 15 minutes. And I think BZ tends to get a little restless in those games and not enjoy them as much, which is a completely fair way to go about it. With just understanding, as you lower power level, it tends to drag out games a little longer.
Yeah, hour and a half, you're going to start losing me. It's like, okay, can we figure something? I don't even care who wins. Can we just figure something out and progress this game? Like, we just keep canceling each other out. And I will say, I think with this specific category, I prefer the competitive where it's like, sometimes, you're all playing high power, so sometimes the game just ends. And it's like, someone's like, hey, turn 6, I got you. Game over. Great. Well, the game was too short. I'd rather have played a little bit longer game. But we can just sleeve up and play. I'm still going to now start a new game and play and not really feel like I'm just losing time here. It's a much shorter game that was not an optimal time, but we can just go to another game because the game's over.
See, I feel the exact opposite. Like you're saying about as the game progresses, you tend to start feeling your feeling is it's, oh, this is so long. It's like a waste of time. Like for not necessarily that's a waste of time, but that you'd rather get to the next game.
I got other decks to play.
Exactly.
I know that this game's going nowhere, and it's just not a good feeling.
And that's completely fair. I have kind of the opposite feeling about the games in the higher power.
So if a game, if you all agree to play high power and a game ends on turn 6, what is your feeling?
It feels like the game was a wait. It feels like that was the waste of time.
See, but I wouldn't even disagree with you. But we just wasted less time in the first.
Well, see, I disagree because it might balance out almost equally. Because think about it this way: unless a game really drags on to the 2-hour mark, let's say a turn 6 win is going to take 20, 25 minutes.
Could be.
So I think it's about the same because the time you're going over is the same. The first hour and 5 minutes of the game is still fun, and then it starts to drag at a point.
If you get to 2 hours, I might have already quit. I mean, that's a little ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm saying I think those times kind of balance out where it's like
it's hard to say. I wish we need to start keeping track more.
It's tough because like I said, it's something I never notice how long a game's going, and it never bugs me. But BZ brings it up often because he does notice it.
Yeah, it definitely bugs me. Here's another one that I noticed. I've seen other people do it, and I've also done it. Losing early or kind of suffering from this severe, super unlucky mana screw is more of a feel bad than before when we were playing higher power. If you're like, darn it, I'm screwed. Looks like I'm not winning. It's like you can kind of rip the Band-Aid off, and it's like, I guess I'm not just going to be able to win this. I missed my 3rd land drop 3 times. How unlucky, blah, blah, blah. And then, someone's going to kill you. Or the fact that someone doesn't have 3 opponents anymore, they only have 2 means the game's just going to end. And, that happens. No one's going to complain that magic is magic. But in a longer game, and you just, let's say you just die to commander damage on turn 7. And then the game goes to turn 20. You are just stuck there in purgatory doing nothing, especially if you have a pot of 4.
Yeah, I haven't seen too many of these games. There are some, for sure, and they are very annoying. And it is definitely something you didn't see in higher power levels because a lot more combos means a lot more games ending with all 4 players leaving at the exact same time. I've had the games where I've had to sit there, and yeah, I do think that's a negative of playing lower power levels. Sometimes a player gets eliminated, and they just kind of have to sit there and wait. That's all they can do because what else? You can't make them hurry up. They can't make them play the game faster.
Yeah, or I developed this great board state, and I make this massive attack, and I'm trying to kill everybody, and 2 people can save themselves. So one person dies, and the next turn the board gets wiped, and it's like, We are literally back to like square one on the board. Life totals have changed, but the board is at 0. And this person's over there just like, come on.
We actually kind of had one of those today. Our friend goes, all right, I'll attack and kill you. And we're like, dang, you're just killing him out of nowhere? He's like, yeah, wipe the board. I'm like, well, that makes a lot of sense.
And then that person was out for a little bit. Not too long, but they were out for longer than everybody else for sure.
Yeah, definitely. But that is something that, like you said, is definitely more prevalent in lower power level. It definitely can be an issue.
Be on the lookout.
Yes. Something I've noticed is because games drag out longer and players tend to play nicer, missing a land drop early, a land drop or two early, is easier to recover from. Games are going to like the turn 8 through 12 range sometimes. So missing 1 or 2 land drops early can be backbreaking and feel terrible. But players tend to leave you alone a little bit more, so you tend to like be able to like, okay, I can slowly build up and get back in this game.
I've won multiple games where I feel like I would have been massively punished at a higher power, where it's like, hey, I came back and was this the game where I missed 3 land drops? Oh, it was. Like, okay, well that's amazing. So there's the difference between, we're talking about getting completely mana screwed to the point where you can't play for an extended period with the thing we just said, versus this is like, hey, I missed my 4th land drop twice. Then I hit it and played my sad robot. Can I win the game still? It's like, yeah, you actually can.
Yeah, exactly. You actually can win from that point, as opposed to in a game where you're missing land drops over and over again. You're just not going to win in higher power levels. The game tends to end in the 7 turn range, like in that area is where the games end.
Or if it's like, first person to spend 50 mana is going to have be well on the way to winning. And it's like, well, I missed some of the first land drops. I'm never going to get there.
Yeah, exactly. The less feel-bad endings. That's actually what we wrote on the script. But what we mean by that is we talked about it. We touched on it earlier. The combo games that just end the game.
And you're like,
Yeah, out of nowhere, and it just feels really bad. This is another one where me and BZ just are on opposite sides of the fence. I hate them. The games feel like a miserable waste of time where it's like, I set up, I'm like, ooh, I'm getting the stuff going. I'm going to finally do stuff for them. BZ goes, I win. And I'm like, ugh. Oh, I hate it.
Yeah, I think it's a little maybe like nihilistic to say that the game didn't matter, because you could easily say, where's the line? Like, plenty of games don't matter if you don't get to make any decisions that directly affect the outcome, even if they don't end in combos. And I just like don't draw the line at all. And I just say like, hey, we're playing to interact. If we know the power level and we agree on rule 0, to me, it's like, yep, we should have killed them. I mean, obviously, everybody would if they could, but we can't, and that happens, so we lose.
Well, yeah, but I think the big difference is, and I can say this confidently, having played a lot of these games, these games where you feel like you don't contribute are rare.
Nowadays, are you saying?
In the lower, where we're playing now, where the power level is like combat matters and everyone's getting in and beating, it always feels like every single player is impacting the game in a meaningful way every single time, because the games go a little longer. You have a chance to do it. Everyone's decks tend to function a little better. Something much different between the higher power level combos and the combat metas is you can accomplish your game plan, do everything you want to do, and not end up with a win. In the combo metas, you're going to win. If you accomplish your game plan, the goal is to come up with a combo, get to a point, critical mass, whatever, you're going to win based on that. This, you put all your best pieces on the board, and you don't even necessarily win, and that's okay, and I kind of like it about this.
It's okay. I might mark it as a negative overall for the change, where it's just there is more of a chance you're going to get sent right back to the Stone Age. Even though you assembled this crazy board, you accomplished almost nothing in the end game just because somebody wiped the board or they stopped all your pieces. And that's how you get those games that drag out to be an hour and a half, and you're just like, what is going on? It's just this cycle over and over where you answer things too fast and all of a sudden no one can gain any traction. So I would say a slight negative where you can do everything you're supposed to do and still accomplish almost nothing.
See, I put this at the positive, and this is just how people can view things differently. It's interesting. It's the exact same thing. Like, I'm saying that when you execute your game plan, you don't necessarily come away with a win. That's okay, and I like that about these games. But you're saying overall it's a negative because you want more games to be played and less games dragging on.
Well, I think it's fine to accomplish your game plan and still not win, but I think it is very likely for you to accomplish almost nothing despite putting everything on board.
That's completely fair. I completely understand where you're coming from with that. Something that has come up as almost unfun at times is a couple of cards.
Yeah, this is just the last one, kind of just 2 shout-outs that are like insane.
Well, I think they're more stacksy and taxy than they might come off as first. The first one is Aura Shards. Every single time a creature enters, it blows up an artifact or enchantment, and it kind of puts this position of players can't actively play artifacts and enchantments without answering aura shards, and that can cause grief, and that can cause players to just be kind of mad. And it's interesting because I don't think aura shards is broken, busted, or too good in any sort of way. It just causes things to be unfun a lot of times.
Kind of like how Psych Rift falls under a board wipe, but then people still kind of don't play it because it like teeters on the unfun or miserable play pattern category. And this is like, hey, play those 2-for-1 things. We just talked about it. 2-for-1s, control the board, amazing. This does that so well that sometimes people will be locked out of the game and having no fun.
Exactly. And another card just like it, Aura of Silence. I've been playing against this card more and more. BZ loves it, and it's
insane.
It's a great card. I'm never going to tell you Aura of Silence is a bad card, but it is a tax/stacks piece, and it can be very miserable. One of the things is if you have something that you want to play out, say, I'm trying to think of in my deck, I have a Outpost Siege, a very medium card. At 4 mana. Already medium at 4 mana.
It's teetering on shouldn't play it.
Exactly. But now I'm going to play it for an extra 2 mana. And if it's actually good, you're just going to blow it up. And it's going to feel so awful. I feel like I can never play out any of my artifacts or enchantments when Aura of Silence is on board unless for some ungodly reason I have 14 extra mana.
Yeah, I think the Aura Shards is probably more like feel bad toxic because it will lock down games kind of no matter what order things are played in. But Aura of Silence isn't so hot when you draw it late, and when drawn early, sometimes it just has to snipe something, or you get screwed for a turn and a half, and then it snipes something because it eventually needs to do something. But then there is the thing that both of these cards lock out artifact and enchantment decks. Like, you can't do things until you kill these cards.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of changing. These cards are good, and I think they have homes in a lot of decks. I'm moving towards not playing them, and after playing against one today, I went, okay, I have this in the deck. I'm taking it out. If you want to not play against something, you shouldn't play in your deck.
That's just be the change you want to see.
Exactly. So if you don't want to play against something, take it out of your deck. I drew the Aura of Silence. I'm going to cycle this because
joke's on you. I don't mind playing it.
That's totally fine but I don't want to see it. So if I leave it in my decks, I'm not setting a good example for what I want to see.
That is true. So that is our little list of things we learned. I want to know if you've transitioned from high power to low power. What are your thoughts? What do you have to add? Let us know in the comments for sure.
Where do you like playing? I think it's interesting.
What's your sweet spot? Because I could go either way.
Currently I am enjoying the lower power better. I like avoiding combos mostly is the main thing. Some combos end up being okay, and sometimes our games do end in random combos from our friends.
Like 5 cards.
Yeah, 5 cards. This is critical, and sometimes and I'm never super upset because usually they're late game. The game has gone far enough, and a combo's okay. But most games end with the beats, and that's what I want to see. I love ending the games with beats.
The thing about combos, too, is, it's really hard to remove all infinite combos. If you say, you can't go infinite, period, you shouldn't play cards that let you go infinite. You're going to cut a lot more cards than you think you are.
Oh, yeah, you're going to go absolutely insane with cutting. But regardless of any of that, tell us what you think in the comments and what power level you aim for. Special shout-outs to all of our patrons. Love you all as much as we can without making you uncomfortable. Thank you all for the support to this channel. You guys are awesome.
Yes, we want to do 2 other shout-outs to you. TCG Player, affiliate link in the description. Click there, navigate, buy cards, and then when you check out, guess what? We get money, but it's not your money. So you're supporting us for free while buying cards for normal.
What's the other one? Tell them the other one.
DragonShield.com, EU or US links. You can go buy sleeves. You can go buy playmats. You can go buy all the cool stuff they get straight from the source. Best sleeves in the multiverse also.
Good sleeves.
Yeah, so if you're not doing that, you're crazy. You're crazy town because we got an affiliate link, and you can support us for no extra money.
Now, I know what everyone is thinking. Everyone who's made it this far in the video is thinking, Nitpicking Nerds, didn't you forget something? And no, we didn't. Happy birthday to everyone whose birthday is today.
Delayed birthday wish.
It was a trick. We tricked you all, and happy birthday to everyone yesterday because we definitely said it. And I
don't remember, but happy birthday, guys. We're going to get better at our birthdays.
We're
never very busy.
Oh, we're so sorry. We're so sorry.
For every birthday. Infinite apologies. I will wish anyone who asks it a personal happy birthday if we missed you.
Happy birthday, everyone. But let's do a couple of shout-outs before we move to the tidbit about our lives.
First off, Andrew Bowser, probably related to the one and only Bowser.
No, he's related to the guy who runs Mario, who runs Nintendo of America, I meant.
That guy's last name is Bowser. Yeah.
That guy's last name is Bowser. We also have, oh no, time for Joe to mispronounce the name. It's Samuel Ninjois.
That was probably it. Jordan Lawler, another supporter of the channel. We're proud to have you.
And friends with Jerry the King Lawler, I'm sure.
I don't think he's very good.
Oh.
I don't think Jerry the King is a very good commentator. Just saying.
Okay, well, fair enough.
His catchphrase is like, "Look at this."
He also does said a lot of inappropriate things towards women in the 90s.
Not cool, dude.
Not cool.
Don't like you.
Avatar of Paper Magic. Thank you so much for your support to this channel.
Thank you. And Ben Wendell. Ben Wendell. That's a fun name to say, and we're going to say it one more time.
Bendel.
Ben Wendell. Thanks for supporting.
Bendel.
Ben Wendell.
We also got our boy, Gregory Young, coming in hot.
Right above Scott. The one and only. If you're wondering why you can't enter Scott as your gamer tag, it's because Scott has it, and you'll never get it.
Yeah, Scott, he's always been doing this. We also have Mark Hodge. I mean, Hodge
Get
Podge.
out of Hodge.
Hodge Podge.
Hodge Ram.
Hodge.
Hodge Charger.
Hodge Podge.
Steven Mercado, person we know in real life. Thanks for supporting the channel. We know you in real life.
And last but not least, Snoo.
That's like a university, right? It's like South.
North.
What state starts with N?
South, North.
Are there no states that start with N that don't have new in them?
Nevada.
South Nevada University.
Apparently, BC's brain is broken.
Okay, that's like the only one. Ugh.
All right, I guess really random. This is coming to mind. Do you have? This is going to be real random.
I'm ready.
How much? Do you have any body hair? Really? Like head to toe?
Wow, boy, is that random.
I said it was random.
It made me think of a better tidbit that I'm about to say after I say, not a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a hairy.
I'm not a hairy dude.
Hairy chest, hairy belly. No, not hair on the back though.
That's good. That's key.
Pretty much no hair on my back at all. Though I do have hairy arms. My brother was marking that my hand is very hairy.
Let me see. There's nothing.
Yeah,
there's nothing, and there never won't not be nothing.
Yeah, there's hair. I'm hairy all over the place.
Silky smooth for the most part. But my other tidbit that I have enjoyed a little bit, even though it's kind of like, it's cringy internet thing. It's like, are there more doors or are there more wheels?
It's not close. It's wheels.
I would assume it's not close. I was talking with my grandma actually. I was like, hey, this might be fun to mention. She was like counting the doors in her house. She's like, 50 doors, Brandon. I'm like, okay, great, 50 doors. But I am firmly on wheels. Now there are we're counting as far as I can tell. What I would assume counts as a door or a wheel is a functional door or a functional wheel. Like, we would agree that a picture of a door is not a door.
Agreed.
Right. So with all of these toy cars, there's like 6 billion Hot Wheels out there or something. They all have 4 wheels. And they all also have 4 doors painted on, but they're not doors because you can't open them.
Yeah. Do you know?
It's not a functional door. So wheels are just dominating.
I think it's not even close as well. Do you know the largest producer of wheels in America?
No, is it like Lego?
It is Lego.
Yes, Lego too. Lego's going to dominate you. Lego's not making many doors. And also,
they are making doors, just not nearly as many as tires.
And people bring up, what about all those office high-rises with all of the, they have 1 million doors in them. It's like, yeah, how many office swivel chairs do you think they have in them with 4 wheels apiece?
Yeah, I know. I find it mind-boggling because to me, it feels like it's not close.
Right.
Wheels are dominating this.
And there's a lot of doors. There's 4 billion houses, and they've all got a handful of doors. We're taking that into account. There's too many toys, too many small-scale functional wheels to say that wheels can't win. There's
so many wheels. I don't know. I mean, I don't even know. Is a knob a wheel? That's a good question.
It is. I'm going to say no, just because it makes it. I don't need knobs to win.
I mean, I don't think we need knobs either. But these are wheels.
I don't know.
This isn't a wheel.
Well, now it's broken.
I don't know. It looks like a wheel to me.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah. Thank you for watching. I got to put this back together. Peace out, Tribe Scouts.